Greetings and salutations. It's like back to COVID there. What are we doing here? Right? This is like one of these weird Zoom call, virtual Query and Schultz. For whatever reason, your highfalutin busy schedule. I have nothing going on. And you're like, oh no, I have all these meetings and important people and whatever else. And so as a result, we're doing it this way. But still, we are together, and you took the entire Hoagies and Hop sandwich. That's cool, whatever. But anyway, I'm Jake Query. That is Derek Schultz, and it is the Query and Schultz program here on the ISC Sports Network on what is going to be, Derek, a very busy episode.
Can I just say, this is fun? You know, it's kind of like when, you're in a relationship with your wife for many, many years, right? And then, you like go on like an impromptu trip, and it's like romantic and it's fun, and like the spark is back. Like, I feel like the spark is back with Query and Schultz by doing it like this.
I don't know what it says about
are you feeling that?
In terms of my relationships, not counting this, my sparks never left.
Sparks
don't leave with me.
My flame's burning hot.
Unless it's my Jeep Grand Cherokee. Sparks and the six cylinder.
I heard
Sparks
about
don't
this.
leave from me, right?
My flame's still burning hot, but this is kind of fun. Look, would I rather be in studio? Sure. But two best friends talking sports. I could be on Mars and you could be on Venus, and we would be fine. We would make it work. So that's what we're doing today. I appreciate this is one of the rare cases where you have had to accommodate me.
Yeah. Here's my only reservation.
I appreciate it.
Here's my only reservation. I'm doing this. You are inside of the beautiful palatial basement that was provided by Chateau Kitchens.
Doesn't it look nice?
Gorgeous.
Yeah.
I don't know what the football in the background is, but it's cool.
Reggie Wayne.
Okay. Is that a Bud Light bottle?
So I also started doing a Colts podcast for Locked On Colts Locked On, and they were like, "You don't have any Colts stuff," and I'm like, "I don't really have any Colts stuff because I'm not really a fan of the team. Like I'm a media member."
Don't let Ed Holleran hear that. Don't let Ed Holleran hear it, Derek. Here you go.
Sorry, like I don't want to be mean about it, but I did. So I scraped together. This is literally all of the Colts stuff in 20 years of being in Indianapolis media that I have. I have too many helmets, one from Robert Mathis, one from and actually one's from Andrew Luck and Reggie Wayne. They signed it on the day that they did our show together. And then I have a Colts. For some reason, we have a Bud Light bottle. I don't remember getting that. And then a Reggie Wayne football and a Reggie Wayne bobblehead.
Okay. Well,
that's the extent of it.
Here's the thing. So I am inside of Shannon's palatial basement, a place where I have been resorted to a couple of times. But there's the potential at any time that a dogfight could break out just above me, so that we have that. And then there's artwork behind me. I don't know if you can see the artwork, but it's nice artwork.
Nice.
But we have a lot to talk about, Derek. You mentioned Andrew Luck. Obviously, Andrew Luck was in the news this week. Zach Kiefer, credit to him for The Athletic, did an article with Andrew Luck where he mentioned the fact that he was originally thinking he was going to play to the age of 40 to 45. That seems overly optimistic. But the Colts are continuing the search at quarterback in the post-Andrew Luck era. And that search now goes into a new place in the fact of Anthony Richardson, Daniel Jones. I think that we are going to have a decision this week. It may well be with our luck, maybe by us doing this way. This will come between when we are done recording this and when we are launching the show. But Derek, I didn't think I would say this, and we've gone back and forth. Okay, I'm guilty as charged of hedging on this back and forth a few times. But at this point, I'm not totally convinced that Shane Steichen is going to go with Anthony Richardson. I think he may be leaning towards Daniel Jones, and I think that's going to have big implications.
Wow. Okay. I wasn't expecting you to go there. I think at the end of the day, when you add everything up, the decision that makes the most sense is to go with Richardson because to me, it is easier to undo that decision than it is to undo the Jones one. I don't care. I understand what the Colts have said. And I understand that Anthony Richardson's still, 23 years old? I don't care what they say about being patient and all of that. If in year 3, and that's what it is now, we could talk about games and starts and all that. I understand that Anthony Richardson's playing experience and the sample size is much smaller than 2 full seasons, right? But if in year 3, you can't beat out Daniel Jones for this job while you've essentially been fully healthy. I know he had the shoulder thing flare up in June and then, the broken pinky against Baltimore, but for the most part, he's been healthy for the offseason program. It's just going to be very difficult to come back from that, in my opinion. It's more difficult to go through Jones and say he struggles and then go to Richardson than just have Richardson and then pull it back to Jones, where you have the steady backup behind you and the calming force. To me, that's what I can't get past here, Jake. We can talk about the other things too, that Richardson has more upside, and Richardson, it's been pretty much a dead heat, right? Maybe a slight lean towards Richardson as far as the camp is concerned with how the two have performed. And if that's the case, adding everything up, it just makes so much more sense to me to just go with Richardson and see how he fares.
I agree, but except for this, I agree with all of that. And Derek, there is not a lot of upside to Jones being your starter in terms of your future. He's on a one-year deal. If you make him your starter, you're going to have to pay him a lot of money. You'd have to do that with Richardson too, hypothetically. And Richardson has more intrigue about him. Richardson has the more unknown ceiling. Mm-hmm. And that's why I think you go that route. However, and I agree with everything you said, especially considering if they go with Jones, then with Richardson, it's over. You don't go to Jones and then eventually go back to Richardson, right? If you do, it's over in terms of this experiment and this time period. And what to me is fascinating is this, and hear me out. Carly Ursay-Gordon, in her television interview with Greg Rakestraw and Rick Venturi during the broadcast of the Packers game, was talking about Steichen and Ballard. And she said, when talking about them, that when you don't have a coach and a general manager on the same page, it's a nightmare. She wasn't talking about the two of them. She was saying how grateful she was they get along. She clearly was going back to and referencing the Pagano-Grigson divorce, okay? And with that, then she talked about the quarterback position and said it's the most expensive decision. Derek, if Shane Steichen, each time he's been asked about this, has gone an extra length to discuss the importance at the quarterback position of this decision being factored by more than just the on-field work, by the locker room, the huddle, the commitment, the leadership. He keeps pointing those things out. And those were things that were pointed out to try to motivate Anthony Richardson. And he keeps reminding us that this is about more than what we're seeing on the field. It sounds to me like he is preparing us for the fact that he's justifying why he may go with Daniel Jones. And if he does, what that means is he is going against, and to an extent, an indictment of the most important draft decision that Chris Ballard has had to make as the general manager of the Indianapolis Colts. And does that then, for the first time, create that divide between a Ballard and a Steichen? Because I think they are two men with two different things that can be gained by whichever quarterback it is that is quarterbacking. And that, to me, is fascinating.
Yeah, there's a lot of cooks in this kitchen, and they're going to have to find a way to come through on a decision that maybe everybody has their own feeling of where they're leaning, but everybody's going to have to make peace with this, because at the end of the day, I think Steichen and Ballard in a lot of ways are tied together, because suddenly you go into year 4, let's say things go poorly here, and if you're going to decide to replace the general manager, then likely you're going to bring in somebody that's going to replace the head coach too, because that just makes the most sense. The Colts have tried it the other way. Remember, they did it with Pagano and Grigson, and then Pagano had a weird lame duck year, and I know Andrew Luck was hurt, but really, it was over. The second that it was over for Grigson, it was over for Pagano too. It was a fait accompli. The decision that was going to happen there. So yeah, but Jake, it goes to sometimes I bust your chops about God, he's thinking about this too deeply and he's overthinking this. But you're right. We're focusing on this decision like it's a week 1 decision. This is a 2026, 2027, 2028.
Right.
The repercussions of this
Correct.
are massive for what this could mean for this entire regime and for this brain trust and for new Colts ownership, because that's what this is. It's the same family. It's the same last name. It's new ownership, though. And I don't care if you want to stay completely out of the way. If you're Carly or the daughters, you still know that your name and your names, plural, are attached to this team and attached to these decisions. And you're being held accountable by the fans for this, whereas you've never been held accountable before. The buck
Is there,
stopped with Jim.
do you know what? Let me say this. I agree with all of that, but I think this should be pointed out. We have yet to know whether or not Carly Ursay Gordon's football acumen is what her father was. We have yet to know of her leadership skill, her ownership skill. We don't know that. I mean, in fairness to her, she's not been put in. This is the first time that we've had a chance to witness it. But I will say this for her. So far, I'll give her a lot of credit in the fact that very clearly she is not afraid to be very clearly the one where the buck stops with her. And I think she is doing a very good job of making it clear that she is not going to be a just sit back and count the money owner. I think she is somebody that does care about the product. Now, does that mean that she knows how to build the best product? We don't know that yet. But I do think that she so far has done the right things in exhibiting that she is the buck stops here owner who is invested emotionally and in the best interest of what she thinks the franchise needs.
Yeah, look, I don't know. We don't know many things about Carly Ursay Gordon's leadership tendencies and decision making and all of that. But I think one thing that has emerged from all of this, and it doesn't take a genius to figure this out, is that Carly Ursay Gordon's not messing around.
Right.
She's not here to play football owner. She's taking this extremely seriously, not only for her dad's legacy, but just for herself. She is a football person. Okay. I don't care, male, female, whatever. She's a football person. And I think she's going to treat it as such. And so the results and the malaise and all of that, she's seen it up front and center. Yeah, her dad's still been the owner during that time, but she's seen all of that. She understands. She has her finger on the pulse of what Colts fans think and what basement podcasts like what we're doing right now are saying about the team. And I think she's going to take all of those things to heart here. But Jake, again, just to kind of steer it back, to me, it's still going to be Richardson because there's the most. Yes, there's something to lose there, but there's the most to gain there. Whereas even if it's Jones and they're right and he's healthy and they go 10-7, so what?
Derek,
so what? Like what does that do for you? What does that get you? Nowhere. It's the same thing.
I just get this feeling. I'm not saying it's justified. I'm not saying it's correct. It's strictly a gut instinct. But I get this feeling that Shane Steichen, I don't mean that Anthony Richardson's a bad guy. I don't mean that he dislikes him as a person. But I get this feeling that Shane Steichen is just over waiting for all of the lights to click.
Yeah.
Just that. And there are people that come after me and say, like, you're an idiot for thinking that Daniel Jones is the best. I've never said that. As a matter of fact, the ceiling is clearly higher with Richardson. But here's the best way to say it. If you walk up to a roulette table and you have to simply, and you have two choices, and one is you have to predict what this next play is going to be, or you have to bet on which one's going to be able to come up with a big play that's going to wow you. Those are two different answers. With Jones, you have a better idea what you're getting into from one play to the next, albeit pretty average. With Richardson, you are tantalized by the potential of the big play, but you also know that 2 out of 3 of those might be a disaster. Richardson is football's Jonathan Bender. He is a guy that when healthy, he keeps getting chances because you've not been able to see him consistently be healthy, but his body is such and his ceiling is such that he is capable of things that you only dreamed about but never seen. And you could see him doing them. Whereas with Richardson, there's less risk, but less reward. That's the fascinating thing about it.
Well,
with Jones, there's less risk, but less reward.
Yeah, and tell me if I'm wrong here, but you're just trying to forecast what you think the Colts will do, not what they should do.
Correct. What they should do is start Anthony Richardson.
Yeah.
what I think they will do is I'm leaning more towards the possibility that it's going to be Daniel Jones.
I don't know
And
if
you,
there's a single person in Indianapolis that thinks it should be Jones, but I think there are arguments for, maybe the Colts will go that way. That's I think where we are right now.
do you think, by the way, that it's entirely possible just because we're doing this that 20 minutes later they're actually going to announce it?
I told you you had brought this up. Jake and I. I'll let you kind of guys behind the curtain here. Jake and I had like a hour, 2 hour conversation. We're just friends shooting the bull, and then we're like, oh wait, we got to tape a show here because we're just best friends talking. And we had joked, we laugh all the time together about things. And he had said, "Hey, what if this breaks while the show's going?" And it's become kind of a running joke on the show that the major news dumps in Indianapolis sports always happen in between the very early morning when we're taping this, usually on Tuesdays, and when we air it Tuesday night. And the problem is that we've opened ourselves up even further here because we're taping this right now Monday night at like what time is it? 9:30. So we're not going to air this for another almost 24 hours.
Derek, you know what I thought about today?
Hmm.
Let me tell you what I thought about today.
Our best friendship.
This will thrill you. So, I've mentioned the fact that my father he had a stroke recently, and the good news is he's cognitively he's great. There are some challenges physically with his arm and things like that, but he's good, right? Now, having said that, I got to thinking about this because my dad's, that's my roadmap, right? So I'm looking, and I got to thinking about this, and I thought, okay, I'm the youngest of three, so I have two older sisters, right? Shannon and I are the same age, and she will outlive me by 20 years. But if hypothetically my nieces and nephew go and live elsewhere in the world, which is very possible because they're world cosmopolitan type people. If my siblings are gone and I have no children, and if something happens to Shannon before me, and I'm in my mid 80s and something happens where I'm in the hospital and I just need somebody to come and change the channels and maybe grab the urinal portal for me, you're probably going to be that guy. I'm going to outlive the vast majority of my friends probably. And so you're like 10 years younger than me. So just so you know, just brace yourself. I'm not going to ask you to wipe me per se, but it's entirely possible.
Byron's pretty spry. I think he would
No.
probably be able to.
Byron already has memory issues, Derek. Are we really counting and considering on in his 80s he's going to be okay?
Yeah, depending on him, I think at any age is difficult to do. So maybe he wouldn't be a candidate for that. But yeah, I'm actually touched that you would think of me to wipe you. I would do whatever it takes.
Oh, really?
What I think, what I've thought about is, God, Jake doesn't have any male heirs or any heirs, period, and he's going to bequeath me all his crap because I've been in your apartment before and you have so much just crap. You really just need to get married, just to have somebody declutter you. That is my best advice. The best thing that happened to me, and I love Ashley and the whole thing, but the best thing is that she's helped me like declutter my life.
You are. I just want you to know. Point taken, but let the record state you are telling me this while flanked by a 15-year-old Bud Light bottle.
They won the Super Bowl in 06, so it's 20 almost now. And it's sad. And it's sad to think that it was that long ago.
Okay.
Really sad. Yeah, not fun when it comes to that. Hey, because we are doing this virtually, we can do some adjustments here. Let's talk about our friends at Bailey and Wood Financial Group. Whoa, pretty cool. 855-350-HOME, BAWFG.com. I don't think I can only adjust my background. I can't adjust yours. Yeah. Sorry about that. 855-350-HOME, BAWFG.com. Whether you're looking to get pre-approved for a home mortgage or you're looking to refi, do so with Mike Wood and his team. We talked about the golf outing last week. A lot of fun. I know, Jake, you were heartbroken to miss it because the fan golf outing just happened to be on the same exact day.
I've mentioned it, and I'm being sincere when I say it. It has become a favorite tradition, honestly, because of just how much fun it is and the great people that are there and what it stands for. And Mike is always just seeing the way he interacts with everybody. I was definitely disappointed to not be there.
Yeah, but they understood. Mike's a good guy. He's laid back, and he's going to do great things for you. 5-star customer service, Bailey and Wood Financial Group, 18 Indiana branch locations as well, but online BAWFG, and we appreciate being them being the presenting sponsor of the show. But yeah, I mean, we're expecting a decision to come. I would guess the decision will come before Thursday. So maybe that happens before this show airs. I mean, again, and I guess we'll both get to claim victory. Well, I won't really get to claim victory here because 95% of people believe it's going to be Anthony Richardson. But it is interesting. If they do go with Daniel Jones, then you can actually beat your chest about that a little bit and say, see, I told you that that's what Shane was going to do. I mean, I just think, Jake, they would really be opening themselves up for even more criticism. Whereas if Richardson fails, you're just like, okay, whatever, like it's done. Let's go to the next guy. But I do think, let me say this, and I'll get on the record of saying this in August. This idea that they can just wait around forever for Richardson, and well, of course he's going to be on the team in 2026. NFL doesn't really work that way, guys. If it doesn't happen now, and what I mean by now is like in the next 6, 8, 10 weeks, if Anthony Richardson doesn't prove himself to be a capable NFL starter, then it's over. Maybe not for Richardson's NFL career, but it's over for him in Indianapolis. Point blank, period. And that's how the NFL works. You don't just, well, what about Sam Darnold? And what about, Sam Darnold bounced around to 5 different teams. Baker Mayfield bounced around to 5 different teams. Because that's reality. That when the second that a team gives up on you and after 3 years you can't show anything, and I'm not saying that's going to happen with Richardson, even though that's where the betting odds would be, that team moves on.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And then Derek, let's ask this too. There's so much talk about the quarterback position. There are other positions that are of need for them now, and kind of no fault of their own. I mean, the defensive backfield. I'll give Chris Ballard credit. A year ago, Chris Ballard sat there and took all the arrows and then said, look, I've got to see these guys play. I got to know what I'm working with. And I think they have some guys that I think are good players. I do like Juju Brents. I do. But he's kind of the defensive backfield version of Anthony Richardson. You're intrigued by the size and the skill set, but the injuries have just completely set it back. Jalen Jones, I think, is a good player. But Jalen Jones now with the hamstring out. Kenny Moore has been dinged up, and now they've found themselves in the situation. And, Hunter Wohler, who looked like he was going to be a player at the safety position, now goes on IR. That sets you back as well. That's a blow. And I know he's a 7th-round pick, but he was really playing well, and you feel for him. But they go out now, and you're having to dip into the list of available Pro Bowlers from 3 years ago. And maybe, like the Indiana Fever, they're going to get some reprieve here with somebody that they signed as kind of an emergency contract. But I think the defensive backfield situation is also fascinating for them.
Yeah, what worries me about this team, now that the injuries have started to really pop up here, is that at the starter level, with their depth chart, you can look at it and be like, this could be a pretty good football team, honestly. Like a Super Bowl contender, probably not, unless, Richardson ended up turning it around. But, like, could they be a good football team? Yeah. The problem for the Colts, Jake, is that, and you know this, you were out at training camp, and I don't know if they mentioned this as much, but really outside of maybe wide receiver, they have no depth. They have no depth anywhere.
And part of that because of attrition in their defense. I mean, I thought the line was a place that they had some stability. And now, Blake Freeland, you look at he's an insurance policy, right? And now he's gone, right? He's out. He's getting out for the. I mean, he's on IR. You got
nobody. You got like Pinter and who's been around the block a little bit. Jalen Travis, who I guess they like, but defensive. Jake, think about them defensive line wise. If Grover Stewart goes down, if DeForest Buckner goes, they're screwed. They're screwed if they lost either of those guys. And thank God that they're high-level NFL players and maybe one of the best interior defensive lineman duos in the league. But you lost either of those guys, you'd be totally screwed. And they don't have depth there. They don't even have 3 starters at linebacker right now with what we know about these guys. And so cornerback was another one where I'd say, oh, my God, they've got a ton of depth, but there's just been so many injuries there. That now, and safety. Now, because you take Wohler out of Wohler being out hurts you at linebacker and safety, because if in Lou Anarumo's system, he probably was going to be kind of like a hybrid, right?
Right. because
where he'd sort of he'd be moving around, and now you lose that. And look, Hunter Wohlers was a seventh round pick who's going to be a rookie. Okay, I understand there's going to be a learning curve there, but he had definitely shown some ball hawk type mentalities that you want from that position, and now that's out the window at least for 2025.
can I just mention, by the way, because this is being done virtually, and I haven't hit the little OK button that says this is being recorded. So I've got this little bar that's going across my screen.
Yeah.
And it's cut off your chin. So all I can see is the mustache. So it looks like you look like Ted Lasso, kind of like you have just a mustache. And it's a little awkward and uncomfortable because it reminds me of back when you used to grow that horrific stash for the 500.
Is it a jealousy thing, you think?
Excuse me?
Is it a jealousy thing?
Derek, this right here, which is probably a day, this 5 o'clock shadow.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you. I'm retired now, as you know, right? This 5 o'clock shadow, panty dropper.
I think I'm going to get that since I'm doing the post editing on this. I think I'm going to get panty drop. We need to ban that word from the show. What have we banned? Moist. Let's ban panty from the show. I don't, it makes me uncomfortable. I don't like that word. Panty dropper. Sounds like pre 21st century locker room talk.
Yoga pant eliminator.
I just don't want to think about you eliminating pants. Like that's just not something that I want to think about.
Well, you're gonna have
I don't think anybody wants to think about that.
If you're gonna wipe me in 35 years, you're gonna have to get used to it.
That's true. If that happens, I will eliminate your pants. But that's 30 years down the line, probably. And let's face it, the heart's going to go well before then. I mean, I think we both know how this is going to go. It has been a life well lived, but it just could happen at any moment at this point.
Are you going to feel terrible if I'm in Nashville for the IndyCar race and I just drop on pit road?
I think it'll depend on where I am financially because when you almost died, I thought about you obviously, but then I also thought, man, like monetary wise, I'm going to take a hit for this because. Right. People want the Schultz brand. Don't get me wrong, but they also like the Query and Schultz brand, and now that's out the window. So I'll have to make up that income somehow. But then you call me from your hospital bed, and then that was a brief, fleeting thought.
Okay.
And we cried and we laughed. That was a wonderful time.
I have a not a bite or bull Schultz question for you, but a question for you to ponder nonetheless. You ready?
Yeah.
A worse stretch for injuries. The Colts, the Pacers, the Fever.
Man, I don't know if you can really compare anything to what the Fever have gone through. And the other thing, Jake, is that, we're still talking about a team that has 53 guys on their active roster, right? So it's just hard to compare NFL to basketball when it comes to injuries. But as far as like most injured Colts teams, all the years run together for me, but I believe the year that Peyton Manning had the bursa sac injury going into 08, didn't they have like several that they started 3-4? Didn't they have several other key injuries that were there? I mean, Sanders, obviously, right? Sanders was coming off DPOY and he wasn't playing, I don't think, that year. I don't know if Sanders played at all in 08. I gotta look it up. He might have missed that season. Or maybe I'm thinking of 09 that he missed. I don't know. It's Bob Sanders, so he missed a lot of seasons.
And I can never remember. Would that have been Edge or a die at that point? That
would have been a die. Edge was gone after 05.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so Sanders played 6. He missed 09. He played 2 games. In 08, he only played 6 games, but I feel like he wasn't there at the start of the season. Maybe the years are running together for me, but I feel like there were some other injuries that happened that year. And remember, they went to they got killed by the Bears in the opener. You remember that? The first game ever at Lucas Oil Stadium, Lance Briggs had a pick 6, I think.
Right.
And I feel like that was a really bad injury year and injury situation, even though they won 9 games to end the year and finished 12-4. But that's the last time that I remember a rash of training camp injuries. I think it was right around then.
How about this one? If you asked a Colts fan to retroactively go back and get 5 consecutive healthy years, or excuse me, 80 regular season games of prime Andrew Luck or prime Bob Sanders, which one gets a higher vote?
I think you would have to. I still think, and I understand the argument that you would say, well, Sanders would put you over the top for another couple of rings, and the Colts were really close, whereas they weren't close with Luck. But I think everybody's sanity would have been helped by having good, stable quarterback play, healthy
Correct.
quarterback play for 5 years, and not gone through what they went through in 17 and in 19 and all those other years. But
I still
um,
maintain, Derek, Bob Sanders is one of the five most popular players ever to play here.
yeah, I'm telling you, at the end of the 2007 season, he was the second most popular Colt, and it was almost to Peyton's level. It was a brief window, but it was almost to Peyton's level. I did a event with him at a Perry Ellis at Castleton Mall. This is how long ago this was, and I was so excited because I was completely broke. And Perry Ellis was like, "Hey, we're gonna give you like this amount of money, and then we're also you can pick out an entire outfit." So I took him like a Perry Ellis tie and slacks, and I'm like, "Oh, this is amazing! I've never owned a suit before." And it was like I was interviewing John Lennon for the Beatles. Like at the Perry Ellis at Castleton Mall, we were above fire code. It was insane how many people were there. And I was like, this is unbelievable. Like people love this guy. And Bob seemed completely uncomfortable about it because he's not the most like charismatic, extroverted type person.
Do you think,
Um,
do you think that was one of the few times he felt weird being taller than the person on stage with him?
You know what? You say that, and I had the same observation when we were in the locker room, especially when he'd come in barefoot. I mean, we were about the same size.
Yeah, I know.
Like
I mean,
like Bob Sanders was not even a head taller than me. He was maybe like here. Um, but I was actually down. Do you remember Cardinal Fitness? Remember those were all over town? I
yeah.
was at the Cardinal Fitness down on Southport Road, and I was like really going there a lot. Like I was getting my mail there. And so when I would stand next to Bob, sometimes you wouldn't be able to tell, or maybe you think, whoa, both of those guys are NFL safeties or like DPOY type players, just because you look and be like, God,
No.
I can't believe how muscular they are. But again, that was kind of a brief window as well because I was still drinking back then. So then, the weight would kind of fluctuate.
Speaking of that, how was Sausage Fest?
Sausage Fest was amazing. Thanks. Saturday night got rained out a little bit early because we had a wicked storm kind of come through. Just a real like lightning quick one, no pun intended, but at like 10:30, and that ended things early. But it was great. Cooked up a bunch of sausages, had some great camaraderie. I emceed night one, saw a bunch of old friends, a lot of fun.
You know, Kevin Bowen, my colleague who you know well,
Of course,
he was there apparently. I don't know if you saw him.
I didn't see Kevin.
Okay. Curious your thoughts on this. His sunglasses dropped into the portalet.
Ooh,
He retrieved them.
yeah.
Your thoughts?
Um, my thoughts are absolutely not. Wallet, even a cell phone I would leave. Wallet I would probably take just because I'm very uncomfortable with people having like my license and like
But
my
Derek, in order for someone to get that, that means they have to go in after it.
yeah, but you never know what somebody would do. What if they think that there's cash? I mean, if they see it's Derek Schultz, they might think there's 5 grand in here, probably at
Now,
least. This guy's a public figure. He's got wads of cash. So they're probably reaching in when they see the name on the license
okay, I'd like
through the poo.
I, who is possibly looking in to see what is in there.
Well, I have a window. I don't have my. Do I have my wallet on me? No, it's upstairs. I have a window on my. It's just like almost like a money clip, like card sleeve, and it's my license that's front
Like
and
that.
center right there. Yes, but it's on the outside of my wallet. So when you gazed in, I guess it depended. Like if there was mass on the top and it was kind of sitting on like a mountain, like not a mountain, that's gross, but like a pile of feces, and you can look directly. I understand that at a festival like this, there's a lot of beer drinking. So there's a lot of liquid. It'd be mostly liquid. But there were also lots of sausages consumed and meats. And digestion wise, you can get a little bit gummed up. So there was probably a lot of, I didn't look inside, but there was probably solid in there too. And so if it sat on top of some solid, I think you could see the driver's license in there. Probably. But yeah, to answer your question, sunglasses, no. Wallet, I probably would reach back in there.
Never in my life more regretted bringing up the subject.
This is the thing, man. Like you ask the question and then you get all mad at me. Like I'm, being a responsible adult and answering your question. I don't know why you have to act like that. We come back on the show. It'll be time for our Hoagie and Hero of the Week. More on the Colts and the injuries, plus LIV Golf, Sophie Cunningham, and other starting quarterbacks that have Colts ties, that know that they're going to be QB1. We'll discuss when we return. It's Query and Schultz, brought to you by Bailey & Wood Financial Group here on the ISC Sports Network.
Hey, which games are we going to tonight?
You know we cover all sports in Central Indiana. Hop in. It's going to be a long night.
Bailey & Wood Mortgage Lender, proud partner of News 8 Sports Hummer.
Hey, AC!
Nice snap.
Mortgage is a snap! Duh!
Bailey & Wood, a lending hand for Wish TV Sports.
Welcome back. Bailey & Wood presents Query and Schultz here on the ISC Sports Network alongside Jake Query. I'm Derek Schultz. Oh, this is kind of cool. Like we can kind of look at each other or point at each other.
Looking straight ahead.
Yeah, I know. It's a little weird to just look straight ahead, but whatever. I kind of like looking at this over here. Not so much. Time for our Hoagie and Hero of the Week. Oh, geez, I knocked over my microphone. Brought to you by Hoagies and Hops, 42nd and Boulevard. Hoagiesandhops.com for catering as well. Southwestern edge of Midtown and our friends at Chili Water Brewing. Actually, let me
You got to change the background because the sandwich was floating there.
I know. Hold on. Let me go ahead and do that. Sorry. There we go. What I have here is the always sunny. Look at that guy. Yum. So we have chopped turk, peppadoo pep, banana pep, some Munster on there, some horsey mayo, some L, and some bacon bits. Delicious.
Do you notice anything wrong with this?
Oh, yeah.
Am I supposed to act like you brought me a sandwich? I mean, listen, I love Hoagies and Hops. I love the fact that they have upcoming this fall their contest that Greg Poley's going to be out there and Darren will be out there and Derek, you don't need to take a bite so big. I love that Christina is always giving back to different charities. I love that when you go in, it's like you're in a little slice of Philadelphia with Indianapolis tied to it. I love everything about it. But mostly I love their sandwiches because they're awesome. I love the chili water beer. And you brought me neither one.
Oh, sorry. Oh, I forgot. Hold on. I forgot about the beer.
Chili water, of course, is right there along with Hoagies and Hops. Derek is disappearing into the background. Chili water right there attached to Hoagies and Hops. They also have a location in Fountain Square, but their beer is fabulous. Derek, you got to remove the background so we can see the can, please.
Oh, okay. Wait, hang on. Let's do that. Hold on. We're having some production errors here. Look at that. Really cool. I could just picture Axl Rose on stage doing that song.
Derek.
Probably my favorite one. Hot for Teacher and Dr. Feelgood.
Dr.
Really,
Feelgood's
really
Motley
good.
Crue. Hot for Teachers, Van Halen. Get it straight.
No, like, Jake, we've gone round and round on this before, and it's all the same crap to me. But this beer, not crap at all. Dr. Feelgood, the Hazy IPA from Chili Water Brewing Company, 42nd and Boulevard. Also, as you mentioned, down there in Fountain Square, Fletcher Place, as well. Delicious beer, too. So we appreciate it. I saw Donnie, the kitchen manager for Hoagies and Hops, and Alexis, the brewer at Chili Water at Sausage Fest.
How many people were at this thing?
Oh my God, thousands. It was amazing.
Okay.
Yeah, thousands of people. Have you really never gone?
No.
You're right in the neighborhood.
Just based on the name alone, did it remind you of middle school mixers?
There were a ton of females there, and everybody was having a great time. So you can get happy, mad, sad about that, but that's how it was. Hoagie of the week, like I mentioned, the Always Sunny. Brew of the week, Hazy IPA, Dr. Feelgood from Chili Water Brewing. Hero of the week, this would actually be our Love That Play if we were still doing Love That Play. But did you see that Scotty Scheffler chip in? I mean, I know you're not a big golf guy. I'm not really a big golf guy either.
He's the best in the world.
Like you mentioned Kevin Bowen, like if Tiger did that, Kevin Bowen would take his shirt off and like be running around Sausage Fest,
That's
basically.
correct.
I mean, just an insane chip shot, which basically clinched the BMW championship. The guy's won 5 golf events this year, 2 majors, PGA, and what did he win? The British? He didn't win Masters.
Great
I think
player.
it was the British was the other one. He's just unbelievable. And I saw him in, I think he was in Happy Gilmore. Did you watch the second Happy Gilmore?
I've not watched it. I heard it was disappointing.
No, here's what I would say. And you and I are kind of the same on stuff like this. We're like, I don't know about this. If you accept it for what it is and just kind of understand that, look, this is just for fun. Like, it's a movie that you're going to watch once and then you're never going to watch it again. For the nostalgia and all of that, I thought it was kind of fun. And it was sort of cute. There were some characters in there that I was just like, they didn't add anything to it. And the cameos got to the point where you're just like, all right, I get it. Like, enough. But it wasn't like an hour and a half of my life that I wanted back.
Sure. Let me tell you something. The Happy Gilmore, and yes, I'm down with that. For our hero of the week, brought to you by Hoagies and Hops, who we are huge fans of Hoagies and Hops, everything that they do that we mentioned, and Chili Water as well. You mentioned golf. Let me give you my opinion, and then you tell me if I'm correct or incorrect. When LIV Golf was first announced, it was very polarizing. It was polarizing because you had basically 3 camps of people. You had people that hated it because it was the Saudi government. You had people that hated it because it was pulling away golfers from the PGA. And then you had people that hated it just because it was defying the rules and the traditions and the etiquette of golf. It was playing music. It was having concerts. Golfers were golfing with their shirts untucked. And they were throwing big money at it, and they were scoring in an unconventional way. And I think there were a lot of people that didn't take it seriously. Mm-hmm. And then it comes to Indianapolis, Westfield specifically, to Chatham Hills, but they called it LIV Indianapolis. And Derek, I saw all of these people that loved it. And basically were saying every stop along the PGA should be the Waste Management Open, where it's drinking and partying and having fun and not caring about the rules. And in an era where sports in general are trying their hardest to captivate the under 35 audience, the streaming audience, the audience that's like soccer because it's 2 hours and bada boom, I'm gone. LIV, and say what you want about all of the politicalization of it, LIV seems to be drawing in and attracting that audience. And I was surprised by the number of people that seemingly did go out there for the party atmosphere of it and really liked it. And while I don't know that it's translating in a television standpoint, I do think that this is a formula that is they have unlimited funding. I think it's a formula that's going to be here for a while, and it's a legitimate threat to the PGA. What say you? And I know that there was talk about them unifying. I don't think it's going to happen.
You know, as far as I can't answer your question on is it a legitimate threat to the PGA? I don't know, because I just don't really live in that, LIV Golf and LIV. I don't really live in that world. Like I'm not invested enough to like really be paying attention to those conversations or be watching. I heard that we were having a text conversation with another broadcaster here in town, and a couple of other friends were on it, and he was discussing how their ratings aren't measured as much because linear TV or something. There was something in there, but like I didn't even read the whole text message because that's how much like I'm just like not invested to that point.
Right.
But what I've noticed in my very novice way with LIV is that it seems to be, and you know, we can talk about the Saudi money and all these, you know, the things that kind of oversee it. as being unsavory. But if we're just talking the golf itself, it seems fun. It seems like it's
like old school ABA, the red, white, blue
yeah.
dunk contest and 3-point shootout, that kind of thing.
It's less stuffy. It's less old guard. It's all of that. So I do kind of appreciate that. I think for me, what I would like to see with golf is, as with everything, the extremes are the worst. Like the extremes, like 1990, watching the U.S. Open with my dad, and everybody's dead silent the whole time, and it's Tom Kite in a straw hat. You know what I mean? Like there's that level of the golf spectrum, and then there's the drunk guy that can't even stand up doing mashed potatoes at the Ryder Cup. Like I need it to be in between that. I need it to be professional and have some level of decorum, but I need it also to be kind of lively and fun. And that's, I went to the, you said Waste Management Open. I went to Phoenix, and I stumbled into passes. My uncle just happened to have them. And he's like, "Hey, do you and Ashley want to go?" And
Everyone
surprisingly,
that stumbles into it.
Yeah, exactly. But surprisingly, Ashley was like, "Yeah, I want to go. I want to people watch." And look, did we see some element of the stuff that we're like, okay, like we get it, dude, enough? We did. But overall, we had a great day. We had a lot of fun. And it was super low key and not stuffy at all. And so, that changed my feeling as a live fan of what my expectations for golf should be, instead of like watching it at a country club. So, but I think what you saw, Jake, is that people here are homers for here. So anything that comes here is the greatest thing ever, because, oh my God, Indy did the greatest job that anybody's ever done. And look, I think a lot of the time Indy does that. There's a reason why events come here, because we have really smart people in charge. But like, I remember NBA All-Star was awful, and it was snowing, and it sucked. And that's not the event organizer's fault,
right.
But nobody would say that while it was happening, because you felt like you couldn't, you know what I mean? So I usually take those comments a little bit with a grain of salt.
Fair. That's fair. But listen, it was people that went to it loved it. I mean, that's my point. It was very, very successful. I think you could say the Fever have been successful considering everything they've been up against, but I wonder now if they haven't finally hit the ceiling of where they can go based on the attrition of the roster.
Yeah, I mean, they were very fortunate to beat a bad Connecticut team. But the fact that they came back from 20 down, and after the Sophie injury and the whole deal to rally like they did, I think says a lot about Steph White, and it says a lot about the players that they have. But I've told you, Jake, this just doesn't, vibes wise, this Fever season has just never felt right. Like It just feels like there are these, I don't know if it's the basketball gods or what, there's just forces outside of their control that are working against them. And God, you hated to see it for Cunningham. She's become she's a go-to defender. She's a 3-point shooter. I mean, she brings a lot to the table. And just the way that she reacted to that injury led me to believe that it was going to be serious. So as of right now, again, we're taping this late on Monday night, and probably by the time you're watching this, they're going to have some declaration for Sophie Cunningham. But with the info that we have right now, I'm assuming she's going to be out long term. Which would really hurt coming up for the playoffs.
So does that mean, Derek, if Sophie Cunningham is out, let's say for the remainder of the year, does that impact the necessity of timeline for the return of Caitlin Clark? They have 9 games remaining. 2 of those 9, the first 2 are against Minnesota, the best team in the league. They play Minnesota yet a third time after that. So 1/3 of the remaining games against the best team in the league. And where they stand right now, when you look at the other injuries, does that factor in to the aggression you go after returning Caitlin Clark?
This, again, is kind of one of those things where it's the perfect sports radio topic, because you answer it based on what you would do, knowing that there's no way the team would operate this way. I mean, what I would do is just take it as easy as possible. I'm not saying I would shut down a healthy Caitlin Clark, but I would take it absolutely as easy as humanly possible. Like, I would wait until she was ready, and then I'd wait another 10 days after that before she played.
Right.
That's how I would treat it. But I don't think the Fever are going to do that. I don't think Caitlin Clark's going to want them to do that either.
Fair. I mean, but listen, they've had to be a lot of different teams so far this year. They've had to retweak and retool the way they're going about things. Kelsey Mitchell's been tremendous. Natasha Howard at times has been really good. Aaliyah Boston's been good, but Kelsey Mitchell in particular has been really, really good. And they probably do owe it to those players to put their best foot forward each time that they have opportunity to do so. But it is disappointing because it does just feel kind of like the year's a wash, and then you come back next year and you set it. Your hands, when you just did that, you look like an 8. Your hands are unbelievably hairy. That's disgusting.
Yeah, it's the ring light that's doing it. It's the ring light. Yeah. Can we get don't want to get too close, but yeah, it's a lot on there. And to show how good the league is, like I think a lot of people are like, oh, and Ari McDonald or insert whoever they bring in off the street. It's amazing she came in and played so well. And I'm like, guys, there are tons of capable WNBA players that aren't on teams because there are not enough teams.
Correct. That's fair.
I mean, so getting somebody off the street that can come in and play for you, I mean, yeah, it's not the easiest thing in the world to do, but it shows how insanely talented the league is because the talent is so condensed because you don't have 32 teams or 30 teams or whatever.
Fair.
You got people on the street that are qualified to be professional female basketball players in this league, but there just aren't enough teams to employ all of them. We're already kind of through a couple of quick hits because my first 2 quick hits were LIV Golf and Sophie Cunningham. So, Jake, you haven't even seen the show prep because I don't think I sent it to you. I stopped sending it to you in 2022 probably. But one last thing to get to, Joe Flacco started for the Browns. So Flacco leaves Cleveland, goes to the Colts, starts a couple of games, goes to the Browns, and will be the starter again.
Where was Shedeur Sanders on their depth chart at this point?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, he was 4th, I saw. Has he moved up from there? The problem is that Gabriel and Kenny Pickett both had small hands. Yeah, both had hamstring injuries. So I haven't been like really laser focused on Cleveland Browns offseason stuff, but that I've just seen some of this stuff in passing.
Here's one for you.
Yeah,
I'll do it as a buy it or bull Schultz. How's that?
Well, hold on. Can I make one comment?
Yes.
If Joe Flacco starts week 1 against Cincinnati, he will have started at least one game in 18 consecutive NFL seasons.
Pretty impressive.
Because even when he was like in with the Jets and those teams that we forgot about, he still started at least one game in all of the. Isn't that crazy? His career to me, Jake, it's incomparable in the fact that I don't think anybody's played that long and had like Joe Flacco has no shot at making the Hall of Fame, like zero. He's made no All-Pro teams. He's been invited as a Pro Bowl alternate one time, which he turned down. Like he's not sniffing the Hall of Fame. Yet he's been a good player forever.
I was going to say he's Harold Baines, but Harold Baines got in, right?
Yeah, but even Harold Baines was like probably at some point in his career one of the 30 best players in baseball. Joe Flacco had one postseason run. That's it. Like in the regular season, I don't think he was ever. Was Joe Flacco ever like a top 10 quarterback? Did he ever have a top 10 quarterback? I'm serious. Like even Eli Manning had a couple of those, even though I don't think Eli Manning is the most qualified Hall of Fame quarterback either.
I mean, Joe Flacco will be the poster child for a long time of like the benchmark. He's like the benchmark of good and underrated because the whole, is Flacco elite? I mean, that conversation goes on forever, right?
Yeah. It's almost like, I don't even know what to compare it to. Like Mark Jackson's career was like that, where he was he was a good player forever. And he was never great really, but he was good forever and played on a bunch of teams and, was always good. And brought a lot to the table. Like Joe Flacco, I know that we kind of got into him last year, but Joe Flacco brings a lot to the table for your locker room and the whole deal.
Quarterbacks, how many franchises in the NFL right now have a worse quarterback room than the Colts?
Yeah, not many. The Saints are in real bad shape. The Browns would be on that list. Does anybody else have a really bad? I don't know what the Jets are doing.
mean, there are not a lot.
Yeah, I don't know what the Jets are doing.
Carolina.
You know what? People seem to think that kind of Bryce Young, Andy Dufresne it last season and came out the other side.
Okay.
I think there's some optimism that maybe the switch has flipped or is flipping with Bryce Young. I'm not saying that I'm in that boat, but I think there is some optimism that that's the case. Seattle, is it Darnold now in Seattle?
I mean,
hold on. I'm actually embarrassed that I don't know this right away.
Is basically Flacco. I mean, that's a fair comparison.
Yeah. Darnold's in Seattle now. Okay. I was like, I think that's right.
Sorry, I was thinking Dalton. Yeah, Darnold, they overpaid for Darnold. I mean, he's okay. But you get my point. I mean, it's just like, Minnesota.
Yeah, because Andy Dalton is still Bryce Young's backup, right?
I mean, sure.
Here's the problem, and people watching at home are like, what the hell's wrong with these guys? When you get to our age and you have to follow everything,
you're right.
I need the first 2 weeks of the NFL just as a refresher course to be like, oh yeah, the 49ers play in San Francisco. You know what I mean? Right. I'm not saying that's up, but I need to relearn. I'm laser focused on the Colts, but I'm not really worried about what the Vikings are doing with their quarterback room because I haven't had the chance to watch them yet this year or pay attention to it.
Do you want to know the team that's going to surprise people this year?
Who's that?
Remember that year that I said, look, the Panthers are going to come out of nowhere and they went 15-2 or something, 15-1, something like that one year. I'm not saying this team is going to do that, but I'm telling you the team that is going to make the playoffs and stun the world.
All right, why don't you tell us when we come back?
Okay.
It's Corey and Schultz. Jake has world-stunning news when we return. Presented by Bailey & Wood Financial Group here on the ISC Sports Network.
At Bailey.
Welcome back to Corey and Schultz on the ISC Sports Network. You see behind Derek there, the background, Chateau Kitchens, which is weird because he should actually just show the background naturally, which is his basement, which was done by Chateau Kitchens, because their work is incredible. They do kitchens, they do bathrooms, they do basements. They've done it all for Derek. It looks fantastic. Just don't have a weird beer bottle behind you. But it is a great look. So Chateau Kitchens, Derek, people can find out more from Chateau Kitchens at
ChateauKitchens.com, as well as on Instagram and Facebook at Chateau Kitchens. They just crossed the 100,000 mark for followers on IG. Pretty cool.
Yes, very impressive. Okay, before we get to our Chateau Kitchens Bader Bowl Schultz, here is the team that I think is going to be a surprise team this year.
Okay.
I mean, 9 to 12 wins. Okay?
Right.
Sneak into they're not going to win their division. They're going to be in the playoffs. You ready?
Yeah.
The Raiders.
Ugh. Okay.
Brock Bowers, Pete Carroll, Geno Smith. I'm telling you, Raiders.
Yeah. I don't really have a I don't really have a reaction to that. They have been kind of floating around sort of where the Colts have been, haven't they?
I know, but I'm telling you.
No, but I mean, but it feels like they've made some talent upgrades and it feels like they've drafted decently well.
Yes.
Over the past couple of years. Let me see. Oh, okay. Well, actually, they were 4-13. See, I was thinking, yeah. So 20, 21, 22, and 23, they went 7-9, 8-8, 10-7, 6-11, 8-9. Those are the years that I was thinking of. I did forget that they kind of bottomed out last year, 4-13. But yeah, I mean, the NFL does this. The rule of thumb for the NFL is that 2 teams that were good the year before stink, and 2 teams that stunk the year before are good. That it seems to happen every year that way. It's just trying to figure out who those 2 teams are going to be on each side.
Okay, which takes us to Bader Bowl Schultz. Derek, you make a statement. I will tell you whether I buy it or whether I consider it Bowl Schultz.
All right, let's assume that Anthony Richardson is the starter if that is the case, he will not lose his starting job if he is healthy this season. Buy it or bullbleep.
Buy it.
So if he's healthy the whole season, he won't lose his job.
Correct. I buy it.
I mean, I'd like to say buy it. I say that with zero confidence.
There's nothing for him there's nothing for them to gain by benching him. Buy it.
I mean, Jake, there's a non-zero possibility that he's really terrible. Right? There's a non-zero possibility that he's really terrible. I'm not saying it's likely, but it's not unlikely. It's not even completely unlikely.
I hear you.
All right. I'll say buy it. I want to be optimistic. I want to believe that if he's healthy. But A, there's no way he's going to be healthy the whole year. And B, there's the potential that this guy just is no good. And I want to weigh those two things into the equation here. But I'm going to say buy it because it's August, whatever it is, 19th, and I want to be I want to be good with it. Indiana football will go 9-3 or better. Buy it or bullbleep.
Buy it. Partially based on schedule. Buy it.
Well, they got to go at Penn State and at Oregon. So there's two right there, potentially.
I buy it.
They'd have to go 9-1 in the rest of their games.
Okay. You seen the schedule?
Yeah, but the Big Ten portion of their schedule isn't that easy. And it's certainly not going to be as easy as last year because nothing ever is going to break Indiana's way the way that the 2024 schedule broke for them.
Indiana, by the way, somebody just told me this today. I'm going secondhand information here, but apparently Indiana University last year had more applicants as students, prospective students, than any year in their history, and they attribute it to football success.
Wow.
There's a reason Dabo Swinney makes $11 million a year at Clemson, because Clemson went from being a school when I was going down there for games that just looked like a typical college campus to now it's like this little miniature brownstone village with a bunch of rich kids that are going to school there because they want to be part of the football program.
Yeah. You know what hurts IU is that and it was really popular to bring him back, but that mascot is way too cartoonish. Have you seen it? It looks like a little kid's Saturday morning cartoon character.
You talking about the Bison?
Yeah. It looks like a AI-generated Nickelodeon cartoon. I don't like it at all.
They didn't just go with the one from the past?
No. It's Hoosier the Bison, and it's a new. Look it up when we're done here. He's got candy stripe pants on. Like they hit some of the right things, but like
they didn't go with Hoosier the Hoosier.
I'm a little bitter that they didn't go with a giant state of Indiana with arms and legs, and they could have done that. But Jake, I'm still an alumnus, but I work for the other university now, so they don't really care probably what I think, right?
Probably fair.
About their mascot and all of that.
By the way, Byron's daughter yesterday arrived in West Lafayette going to Purdue.
Nice. Boiler up. I buy it. I think Indiana's going to go exactly 9-3. And I think some people are going to paint that as a disappointment. Or some people are going to say, like, let's say that they lose those games that I mentioned, Oregon and Penn State, and then they lose to Illinois or somebody like that. So they lose to the three toughest teams that they play. Let's say that they do that. And people say, see, like it's the schedule. It's like they're playing ISU and they can beat UCLA and Maryland and all that. Look, if Indiana follows a 11-2 season with a 9-3 one, that's amazing. That's still progress. That's still progress. You know, this idea that IU is going to be like a playoff team every year or something like that. Now, like, I think we need to pump the brakes on all of that. I think this is still, we're forgetting because it's happened so quickly with Curt Cignetti that this is still like a progression, right? Like they're still developing things and they're still kind of figuring things out as they go. But I think a 9 if you would ask me right now, if I was an Indiana fan, which, you know, I want to see him do well, right? But I'm not like emotionally invested like that anymore. I would sign up for 9-3 right now. And some fans probably wouldn't because they'd want to make the playoff and all of that. But I'd sign up for 9-3 and go to a bowl game and maybe end the bowl drought. I know that people say, well, the bowl games don't matter. Well, they matter for a team that hasn't won one in 30 years, right? That'd be cool. That'd be great if Indiana did that. Then, you know, if they went 10-3, I think that'd be a great season.
Yeah, don't become like Iowa and Purdue or Purdue and the Bill Mallory Indiana of getting greedy and saying like, oh, you know, we got to go to the playoffs every year. Now they're going to make the playoffs eventually every year because the playoffs, the Big Ten's just going to say to themselves, we want 45.
28 auto bids, yeah. 28 auto bids for the entire Big Ten.
That's right.
It's funny that you say that because that is our last statement. Statement 3. College football playoffs should include 28 teams. Banter, bullbleep.
100% bullshits.
How about this? How about this for a caveat? I was having a conversation about this with a buddy of mine the other day. What if, by expanding to 28, you also gave an automatic bid to the Sun Belt, MAC? Who else am I missing in there? There's got to be another. American conferences as well.
I mean, it'd be pretty odd. But I mean, what then you get into what about like? I mean, Derek, there's the Big Sky.
Yeah, but not in football. In football, Mountain West, you'd have to give one. Yep.
Mountain West.
Mountain West, you have to give one. But Jake, if you're going to expand it to 28, technically these teams are all competing for the same championship. So wouldn't you have to include? Like, how could you not?
Right.
You're including 20% of college football, yet you're not going to include them. Like, I know that they're not interested in including Akron and Appalachian State, but
the Horizon League just joined a coalition with all of those leagues you just mentioned that they are going to Congress basically to say, if the NCAA is not going to step in on our behalf, we want a voice at the table. We want to be able to also determine the direction of college athletics and not have everything just catered towards the Power Four. And so the wheels are turning to make sure that inclusion does take place, maybe not from a being involved in competition standpoint, but in a having their voice heard of discussion standpoint. That shows you the fact that they are taking that action shows you of the concern of the growing disparity within these conferences.
Yeah, it's sad. I feel for Julie and Horizon League leadership and all those leagues because it's not going to get any easier. That's for sure, what they're going through. Hey, thanks for tuning in to our virtual Aquarian Schultz. Thanks to our great sponsors like Chateau Kitchens, as well as Hoagies and Hops and Chili Water Brewing Taproom 42nd and Boulevard. And also, of course, our presenting sponsors of the show, Bailey and Wood Financial Group. Here's a bridge. Here's some grass. Here's a beach. Look at it. Whoa, I should have done this for the whole show.
Where was Derek? The grass. Go back to the grass.
What's this one? Ah! There we go. All right. Yeah.
What's your dad think of that?
Oh, okay. Yeah. He might be watching, Jake. So we want to be careful with that.
Okay.
For Jake, I'm Derek. We don't even have to thank anybody else. This is all us. We did the show today. No thanks to the ISC crew. No, thank you to the ISC crew always. We'll talk to you next time here on Corey and Schultz, ISC Sports Network.
Hey, AC, which games are we going to tonight?
You know we cover all sports in Central Indiana. Hop in. It's going to be a long night.
Bailey and Wood Mortgage Lender, proud partner of News 8 Sports Hummer.
Hey, AC,
Nice snap.
mortgages in a snap. Duh.
Bailey and Wood,